You do have to ask the odd question, though, don't you? Because it starts to get weird. So we've got a number of questions at this point that we wanted to ask Geoffrey Robinson. And we found out that he was having another surgery. And we thought, Geoffrey, flamboyant character, colourful character, bit extrovert, let's go up there, but this time let's go big. You've come along to Geoffrey's surgery. What are you asking him questions about?
Well, I'm going to be asking him about my son's local primary school, but also one of the things that I've been dying to ask him is why he hasn't got a house in Coventry. He seems to have all these houses all over Europe, and yet he hasn't got anything in the constituency that he represents.
OK, you've just been in to see Geoffrey. How did it go?
Well, you don't get a lot of answers, do you? I don't know if you've actually spoken to him, but I think the phrase is, leave it with me. I asked him about the school, and he is going to look into that, so I should have to keep on top of that. But I also asked him about why he hasn't got a house in Coventry, and I think that threw him a little bit. And
what did he say?
He said, leave it with me, and I said,
Hello there, Mr. Robinson, how are you? Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
I wonder, can we ask you a quick few questions? Like Thomas from Channel 4? They're very, very quick questions.
I don't think so, really.
Well, it's just about the very easy ones, like what's your favourite opera?
Violetto.
What's your favourite Italian food?
Spaghetti.
And why do you like Lutyens?
Because I think he was a great architect.
And how much is your mortgage that you've got on the Lutyens mansion?
Well, never you mind about that.
No, but you've got a mortgage, haven't you?
No,
but it's quite weird when you're lending people money for mortgages if you've taken out a mortgage yourself. Have you got any problems, or can we do a benefit at all for you? Is there any way we can help out?
I think you do a lot of good work already, and thank you for your offer.
No, but I mean, is there anything that we can do to help if you're in any kind of trouble?
Well, I know where to come.
Thank you Thank you ever so much for your time there, Mr. Robinson. Thank you. Do you want me to help you back it out?
So we thought, right, we'll have a look around, try and find some money for Geoffrey. And this is where you might need your pencil and paper. Because we found out that Geoffrey was up before the select committee on whether he took 200 grand from Hollis.
I mean, if you're living from hand to mouth and wondering whether you can pay your mortgage, then you're pretty certain when you get money in, because you have to think about it all the time. Right. But if you've got millions and millions of pounds swirling around different companies and different things, then frankly, you don't. Why would you concentrate on precisely which bit of your business empire, you know, had not or had received £200,000?
Now, we thought, he said he didn't receive the money. And we thought, funny. On the accounts, it said you did. There's a memo that says set aside 200 grand for Geoffrey. And we thought, this is weird. And the select committee looked at it and they were pondering whether he accepted the money or didn't accept the money. Didn't get the money or did. And they found that he didn't get the money. And they based most of their evidence on one letter. And this letter is written by the man who did the accounts, who wrote the memo saying set aside the money, and put that he did have the money in the accounts. And this man then writes back and says, I have now seen a copy of the memo supplied to you by the then auditors, in which I requested that provision of 200 grand, well it says 1,000, I don't say grand, be made for the chairman's remuneration. I do not remember writing that memo. But it is clear you received no remuneration and that any error was made which was not reversed in the subsequent year's accounts. So he's saying, although I wrote the memo, I don't remember writing it, and you definitely didn't receive the money. And we thought, funny. And so we started looking. We thought, who wrote that letter? And a man called Michael Stoney wrote that letter. At the time that the select committee accepted that letter as evidence, Michael Stoney had been struck off from the Institute of Chartered Accountants for providing false information, and this was the man they believe. So we thought we should write into the select committee and tell them, because maybe they don't know. Maybe they weren't aware of this. All we're after, remember, we just want to see Geoffrey get the 200 grand. That's what we want. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to make a guess of how much Geoffrey actually paid for his mortgage. What's the Geoff mortgage? It could be 400 grand, couldn't it? It could be... What have we got here? It could be 1.25 million, could be 1.75 million, it could be 1.75 million, couldn't it? Now, we're not sure, so we thought what we should do is we want to try and help Geoffrey so much that we can pay that mortgage off. And we thought, well, I know, let's put 500 quid on at a bookies that Geoffrey's mortgage is 1.75 million. That's what we'll do. So we're going to be trying to place that bet in the next couple of days. Now, we fancy our chances on this. We do fancy our chances because just before Christmas we made a little bet. Right, I want to put a bet on Geoffrey Robinson resigning.
Right.
Now, what odds are you going to give us on?
We put 2 dates on these. We've got 2 dates, one on the 13th of January, one on the 3rd of March. 13th of January, we're offering you 4 to 1. He's got to be out of office by the 13th of January. Right. If he goes by the 3rd of March, you've got even money.
Oh, I'm going to split this. I've got 200 quid here. I'm going to split. Can I put...
OK, you've got £100 on that he leaves office by the 13th of January, right, and £100 of even money that he leaves office by the 3rd of March.
Here's our letter confirming that we placed the bet with them, which we received the next day in the post. We also received a phone call because Geoffrey resigned that day. Thank you ever so much for that.
My absolute pleasure.
Here we are, £500, one on the misery of Geoffrey Robinson. Do you know, it really feels good. We thought, well, we can't just take the money, so we thought, we should give it to someone. We should give the money to someone who actually needs the money. We're outside the Grosvenor House Hotel. This is where Geoffrey Robinson's got a penthouse suite on permanent standby. And with me is Ivy Needham. Ivy, you actually led the Maxwell Pensioners Group campaign from Leeds, didn't you?
I did. I led it from my own council house, not a penthouse suite.
Well, what we've got here is this is the money that we made on the bet with Geoffrey Robinson. I think we're gonna try and get through now to the Grosvenor House Hotel and see if Geoffrey's in and see if you can have a quick word with him.
I'd like to have a word with him if possible.
Okay, let me just...
I'm sorry, the guest you are calling is currently unavailable to take your call. If you wish to leave a message, dial 2 now or hold for operator assistance.
OK, Ivy, now's your chance to leave a message for Geoffrey Robinson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Robinson. I'm sorry I'm unable to speak to you today. I've come all the way from Leeds. I'm a registered landlady and I've come along with my guide dog and I'm wondering if you can help...
The next day in the office, we got a phone call from Ivy. I've just been on the phone to Geoffrey Robinson for half an hour. I've chewed his ear off. I asked him all sorts of questions. At one point I said, I knew that Robert Maxwell. I met him and he was a rogue. I think he was a bit taken aback. And she said, anyway, I explained all about the money and I said, Channel 4 have given me this money because they made it on a bet that you'd resign and what I'm going to do with this money is I'm going to donate it to the Registered Guide Dogs Societies so someone else can get a guide dog so they can get the gift of sight. And he said, that was lovely, that was very good. And I said, and when we come to the naming ceremony, I'm going to call this one Geoffrey.
When would this be done to live? White lace and
Mark is back at the later time of 11:05 next Wednesday, here on 4.
And yes, we've just begun.